So when I was in middle school, all I wanted to be was popular. It was all I ever wanted. And there was this kid, Simon Ristow, and all I wanted was to be his friend. Because he was one of the cool kids. He used to make YouTube videos with this guy Lucas, and I thought the two of them were the coolest. And it was my plan to get them to agree to make YouTube videos with me after this thing called the Highlighter Dance. Now the Highlighter Dance was this school-sponsored rave, where basically the only rule was like, just don't do ecstasy. So we're all getting ready at this girl Laura Lee's house, and we're driving over there, and we hear a bump, and we're like, oh shit. And so we get out of the car, and we look in the street, and there is a cat lying there. And it looks like someone had thrown a crate of tomatoes at a ceiling fan. It's disgusting. And so we walk over, and we kind of just stand there with our hands on our heads. And the worst part about this is we realize that the cat's not wearing a collar. So we're going to have to try to find its owner some other way. So we devise a plan that one of us is going to go on one side of the street and the other is going to go on the other side of the street. And we're going to start knocking on houses to ask who exactly this cat belongs to. And so we start doing that. But the only problem is it's late enough at night where it's like 8:30ish, where the kids are going to go to bed, but they're not quite asleep yet. So the kids are waking up. The kids are coming downstairs, and we're knocking on the doors and being like, hey kids, do you want to know what death is? And so we go door to door, and there's a weird phenomenon when this happens, because people won't go outside to see whether or not it's their cat. They'll go inside their own house to find their cat. And if you know anything about cats, the moment you go looking for one, it's nowhere to be fucking found. So we're going door to door, knocking on doors, being like, Whiskers? No. And we find nobody. And so eventually I'm crossing the street, and I look down at the cat, and it's having a violent seizure. It looks like somebody took the ceiling fan and turned it back on. So I kind of just stand there and watch this cat die with my hands on my head. And I realize something has changed in me, like I can no longer watch children cartoons. And so I'm backing up, and I hear this jingle, and I'm like, oh, thank God, because I look down, and it's the collar, and I'm like, finally, we know who this belongs to, which is a nice feeling, because you finally can figure out you finally know who it belongs to, but it's a terrible feeling because you finally know who it belongs to. You know that whoever you're going to call is going to be their cat. And so I call this number, and this girl answers, and I'm like, hey, I have your cat on the corner of Death and Sadness. You need to come and get him. And so she drops the phone, and I kind of just hang up. And so I'm standing there, and this man comes running down the street at full speed. And my first thought was like, wow, he had a really feminine voice. And he kneels down next to the cat and starts punching the ground, crying hysterically hard. And I'm just standing there, and I have no idea what to say to him. And then this girl comes running down the street. I'm like, okay, she's the one on the phone. And so she kneels down next to him, and they just start hysterically crying with each other. And it's a little awkward because I'm like, hey, I still have a rave to get to. And so eventually they stop crying and they thank us, because they're like, not everybody would have stayed, whatever. And we're like, yeah. And so we get to the party. We get to this girl's house, and everybody's getting ready. They're putting on neon paint, whatever. And I'm in the corner being like, hey guys, can we talk about our feelings? And they're like, no, we want to have fun. And so we go to the dance, and I try to find my girlfriend to talk to her, and I do. And I'm like, hey, I've had kind of a rough night. Can we talk? And she's like, no, I want to dance. And so I knew it was the death of the relationship. So I had witnessed 2 deaths that night, not only the death of the cat, but the death of the relationship. And I go looking around for anybody who could possibly talk to me about this about this cat. And I go looking for Simon, and I can't find him. And so I decide to call him, and I'm like, hey man, are you at the rave? And he's like, no, I'm at my house. Somebody hit my cat with their car. Apparently, Simon had an older brother that I had never known about, who had bought this relationship cat with his girlfriend as a symbol of their love because they didn't want to get engaged. And I killed that relationship cat. And I'm like, oh man. And I offered to go to the funeral, but it was like not appropriate. And they named their next cat Joey, which is a little weird because my name's Joel, and I'm like, why'd you name the cat Joey? But the best part about all of this is I was like, Simon, so why didn't you go to the rave? Why are you still at home? And he goes, oh, tonight is the night of my older brother's engagement party. I killed their engagement cat on the night of their engagement party. So... I eventually run into the older brother at the house, and he says to me, he's like, you know, it's fine. I understand that you're Simon's friend. It could have been anybody. He says to me, I just have one question. Did he at least die quickly? And I was like, yeah.